Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the fascinating and honestly tragically brief life of a guy who tried to capture the very soul of 19th century India. Think about it. If you really want to understand how a nation's identity is built, you don't just look at kings and epic wars, right? You look at the stories whispered in kitchens and living rooms. And well, that was the absolute mission of SM Natesa Sastri. He was this visionary who firmly believed that the true heartbeat of India was hidden right there in its folklore.
But before we get into all his amazing work, we kind of have to start with a shocking loss. Picture this. It's April 12, 1906, and Natesa Sastri is at the absolute peak of his career. He'd actually just been invited to give a super prestigious speech in London, highly recommended by his British colleagues. But then, tragedy strikes. While he's at a temple festival in Madras, he gets knocked down and trampled by a startled horse. He didn't survive. Literally in an instant, a freak accident took away one of India's most brilliant minds, right before he was about to take Indian folklore to the global stage. It's just wild.
So, let's back up a bit. Who exactly was SM Natesa Sastri, and why was losing him such a monumental blow to preserving Indian heritage? Well, he was born into a very traditional family in a village near Tiruchirappalli. Sastri was a guy with just profound intellect and dignity. Starting from those traditional roots, he grew into this prominent scholar who made it his life's work to elevate everyday Indian culture and basically show the whole world its hidden depths.
Get this, 18. That is the staggering number of languages Sastri mastered. 18. He wasn't just, a casual language learner. The guy was an absolute prodigy. His mastery over Tamil, Sanskrit, and a bunch of North Indian languages was so exceptional that his British mentor actually arranged for him to be officially awarded the title of Pundit, which, if you know anything about the era, was a massive mark of supreme scholarly achievement.
But here's what's really fascinating. With a towering intellect like that, you might picture some isolated academic locked away in a quiet library, right? Actually, scratch that. Sastri was deeply grounded in everyday, chaotic human life. He fathered 10 children, 6 sons and 4 daughters, and he was incredibly connected to his local community. His life was loud, busy, and firmly rooted in the everyday dynamics of a huge traditional household.
And that deep community connection, it translated into an amazing career. Born in 1859, he gets his BA by 1880. By age 22, he's working with the Archaeological Survey of India, documenting ancient inscriptions and traveling to study the magnificent ruins of Hampi. But he wasn't just stuck in the ancient past. He was a really practical man of the people. In 1904, he actually helped found India's first consumer cooperative, the TUCS. No joke, his portrait still hangs at their Chennai headquarters today.
Now, amidst all that administrative work and archaeology, his true lifelong mission actually came from a much simpler place. The spark wasn't in some dusty archive, it was right at home. When he was a little boy walking to school, his mother, and later his grandmother, would tell him daily folk stories. Not grand epic poems, just authentic, everyday Tamil oral traditions. Sastri later said that these daily kitchen tales were the absolute foundation of his inspiration.
That childhood inspiration eventually turned into something monumental. With the little nudge from a British folklorist, Sastri started pulling from his own memory. Between 1884 and 1888, he published The Folklore of Southern India, this massive 4-volume collection of Tamil folktales. And he translated these stories into English specifically to reach a non-Indian audience, sharing authentic, grassroots Tamil culture with the rest of the world for the very first time.
This really gets to the core of our explainer today. Why did folklore define 19th century India for Sastri? Well, he firmly believed it was the true national literature. He called it the most trustworthy manifestation of people's real thoughts and characteristics. Back then, historians were completely obsessed with the ruling classes and ancient classical texts. But Sastri argued, hey, to understand the real India, you've got to look at the raw, unfiltered voices of everyday people, the grassroots stories they used to entertain, to teach, and to survive.
So the crucial point here is that while he passionately championed these grassroots tales as the ultimate national identity, history kind of took a different path. As nationalism started rising in Madras, political leaders and scholars decided to lean heavily into ancient, classical Tamil Sangam texts to build their identity instead. So despite folklore being as natively Indian as it gets, it unfortunately got totally eclipsed in the political arena by those older, more formal works. But even with that political shift away from folklore, his output was absolutely unstoppable. The man was a massive literary bridge between cultures. He didn't just look to the village. He looked to the epics and to the West. He translated the entire Valmiki Ramayana from Sanskrit into accessible Tamil prose. And he didn't stop there. He translated Shakespearean plays like Twelfth Night and Measure for Measure, basically introducing Western drama to eager Tamil audiences.
And wait, it gets even better. He wasn't just translating other people's stuff, he revolutionized Tamil fiction by writing 6 original novels. And you've got to hear these plots. He introduced some wild, totally unprecedented concepts. One of his books, The Rejuvenation of Kamalan, is a bizarre comic romance about an age-reversing drug. Another one introduced the motif of adultery, which was practically unheard of in Tamil fiction at the time. He even wrote historical novels packed with sharp social criticism. He was just constantly pushing the boundaries.
All this incredible dedication to oral traditions and his vast literary output earned him massive global acclaim. The stories told by everyday people in 19th century India held so much historical weight that Sastri was admitted to the prestigious Royal Folklore Society of England. In fact, reviews at the time proudly pointed out that he was the only Hindu member of the organization. He literally elevated the voice of the Indian villager to the absolute highest halls of global academia. Talk about a legacy.
SM Natesa Sastri's quest is such a powerful reminder. The real history of a culture doesn't just live in stone inscriptions or royal decrees. It lives in living rooms, in kitchens, and in the memories of our grandmothers. Before mass media, these stories were the very fabric of society. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a thought. What are the daily stories and oral traditions in your own family? And more importantly, who is keeping them alive? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me, and keep exploring the stories around you.